What's up guys, TopTierYugioh here, and today I have a Trickstar deck for you guys. However, this isn't a standard Trickstar list, it's got a little bit of spice in it, and that spice is Grinder Golem. And so I'm playing this version of Trickstars because I realized that within a lot of Trickstar decks, one of the issues that I found within their deck building was that there weren't enough extenders. So oftentimes the only extender that I really played was Scapegoat, and that's a problem because if you don't have enough extenders, your ceiling is going to be too low. And so I wanted to raise the ceiling of Trickstars a little bit, and I felt that the best extender that they could play was actually Grinder Golem. Because Grinder Golem helps them set up one of their best combos that involves Lilybell and Firewall Dragon, but it also helps them make big link monsters, which helps get over your opponent's big monsters, thus dealing with one of Trickstar's biggest issues, which is of course dealing with larger monsters, because everything within the engine is 1800 or less minus Holly Angel, which even then is only 2000 attack, and so Grinder Golem really solves that problem with the deck, while again helping you set up your auto win combo with Lilybell and Firewall. So it's really good, and with Link Rebo coming out too, it's just even better. So let's go ahead and get into the list. We're going to start with 3 Candinas, 3 Lycoris, and then 2 Lilybell. Now most people only play 1 Lilybell, but I opted to play 2 because I am playing 3 Desires, and I don't want to risk banishing it because Lilybell is one of your win conditions. And now in a normal deck it sucks to draw, like normally you don't want to draw Lilybell, but in this build with Grinder Golem, it helps to draw it because in your standard combo, you would use your first turn to search Lycoris, your second turn to search Lilybell, and then you'd be able to play from there. But because Grinder Golem takes away your normal summon, already having that Lilybell out of the deck can sometimes be very good. And so playing multiple copies of Lilybell again helps you not banish it off Desires, but it also helps you draw it more often, which isn't terrible now. Next we played 2 Kaijus, and it was a toss up between 2 Kaijus and Raigeki Darkhole, but I went with the Kaijus because I like that they actually deal with Sleeper. And yeah, it sucks having to get over the Kaijus, like, again, everything in the Trickstar engine is very small, it's hard to deal with 2200 and 2400, but with Grinder Golem it sort of helps a little bit, and I just didn't like Raigeki and Darkhole when I'm facing against a Sleeper with Last Resort. I just really hated that it just did nothing in that case. But I like this because it actually deals with the problem, and deals with a lot of other issues as well. Next we have 3 Grinder Golems, which is exactly what I was talking about earlier. Again, it helps you extend your plays while also dealing with some of the issues that Trickstars have. If you want to see how it sets up that combo with Lilybell and Firewall Dragon, I will put a link to that in the top right corner of the screen. Definitely check that out because it's like an auto win combo if it resolves. You can also do it with Scapegoat, and so you have now 6 cards that you can do the combo with, which is, you know, ridiculous. Plus Gofu, which also you can do it with, so 7 cards. So the likelihood of you doing the combo is very high in this type of deck. And then of course the one aforementioned Gofu. For the hand traps, I'm only playing 9, which is kind of weird to say only 9, right? But 3 Ash, 3 Droll, 2 Ghost Ogres, and 1 Maxi. Ashes and Drolls are standard for this deck, but Ghost Ogre I'm kind of torn on because Ghost Ogre really, I don't like how against Spirals it doesn't stop their plays. And so a lot of times it's very easy to play around a Ghost Ogre, and I don't like that, but at the same time, you need more defense that doesn't lose to SPYRAL Tough. And so I hated playing real traps like Solemn Strike, Solemn Warning, etc. because I didn't like how they could just summon Tough, pop it, and then it's just gone. And then they could just Resort Search, Quick Fix, get it back, and then, you know, just combo through and it really did nothing. Or even if you use Ghost Ogre on a double Helix, sometimes they'll add Master Plan to their hand, and then if they have the Quick Fix in the graveyard and, you know, some other extenders, then they can just discard it, get it back, and it's just ridiculous. And I just didn't like how it didn't stop all of their plays. And so sometimes the best play is even to stop a Resort, but that's like a not once per turn 6 of, and so I hate doing that as well. And so I felt that Ghost Ogre just didn't do enough in that matchup or against other matchups. Like against Pendulums, for example, if they have the Spell Pendulum graph, it's mandatory, so it has to be Chain Link 1. And so if they have any other effect that's going to activate in that chain, you're going to have to, you can't hit that with Ghost Ogre. So if it's like Chain Link 1, the Spell Pendulum graph, Chain Link 2, Double Iris, you can't Ghost Ogre Double Iris, and so you just end up losing out in that case. Another hand trap that I'm kind of iffy on is Maxi, and it's kind of weird to say that like Maxi isn't good, but it really isn't that good. Like, it's good if you go first, I'm sorry, it's good if you're going second and you can stop your opponent's first turn, but if you're going first, it really doesn't do anything because your opponent will just play through it and kill you, or if at any other point in the game you have it, again, they can just play through it and kill you, and it doesn't really stop their plays, especially with decks like Spirals and Pendulum Magicians. Like, they're easily going to put damage on board. I mean, even Paleo can put that kind of damage on board easily. Like 2 Mistar Boys and Toad, that's exactly 8,000 I think, and so like it's good. Maxi's a good card, of course, but like in a vacuum, it will just get you killed. So you can't really count it as a defensive card. So the previous 8 hand traps are all defense. Maxi is kind of like a reactive extender. Like, it gives you more cards. It doesn't necessarily stop your opponent in all cases. I mean, it's good, but yeah, I'm just kind of torn on it. What am I talking about? Of course you play Maxi, but whatever. On to the spell cards. We have 3 Light Stage, 3 Terraformings, 3 Scapegoats. Those are all standard for any Trickstar deck. 3 Pot of Desires, which is again a slight increase from most decks, what I think are playing 2. And again, I like 3 because you're going to see your combo pieces more often, you're going to see your Scapegoat more often, you're going to see your Grinder Golems, you're going to see your Light Stage, everything you want to see, you're going to see it more. I think one of Trickstar's main win conditions is via card advantage, and so having a card that's an easy +1 just makes sense. It just makes sense to have the most pluses in a deck that wins on card advantage, right? The only cost to using Pot of Desires is really the Philosophy of Fire, but because Trickstars don't really depend on fire too much, you don't really need too many of your in-deck resources outside of Lilybow, really, which you can search with Candina or Light Stage, then you can really afford to play Desires, so I'm actually a big fan of 3 right now. And then the last spell card is 2 Cosmic Cyclones. I am loving Cosmic Cyclone right now, it's just so versatile. If you go first, it's a trap. If you go second, you're stopping your opponent's traps. And then for the trap cards, the only trap that I play is 3 Trickstar Reincarnation. It's just necessary for the engine. It's not even like that good for the banish effect because they can just ash that. But the real valuable part is the graveyard one because it helps you summon more monsters, which helps you OTK your opponents. It helps you make larger link monsters. I just like having it as an extender, really. I mean, of course, the disruption is kind of good, but it's also kind of not good. It's easy to be played around, and if your opponent's not an idiot, they're gonna play around it. Like, they're just not gonna, you know, activate Resort, Search, Sleeper, and then not set any of their spells too. Like, they're gonna bait you with it. Like, against good players, it's very subpar. Against bad players, it's very, very good, but, I mean, you should beat bad players anyways. And so Reincarnation's good, but not for the reasons you'd suspect. And like, of course, sometimes you're gonna cheese out some wins by like burning your opponent to death or doing the draw reincarnation thing. Like, those exist and those happen, but not very often. Like, again, unless your opponent's an idiot, that's not gonna happen. For example, at ARG Hartford, my opponent was playing Trickstar Invoked ABC, or I guess ABC Invoked Trickstar, but he tried to do the draw reincarnation play on me, and like, honestly, it wasn't even that bad. Like, yeah, sure, he got to banish my hand, but I set a bunch of my spell cards first, and it really didn't make a big deal. Like, of course he still beat me because of it, but that's because I misplayed, not because it's actually a really good combo. And so that's sort of the point. Like, yeah, he could do the draw reincarnation play, but it wasn't what won him the game. It was me misplaying that lost me the game. Again, it's just not as good as a lot of players hype it up to be. For the extra deck, we have 3 Link Karibos. I think I used to play 2 Link Spiders before, but I upped it to 3 Link Karibos in this build because you do have Grinder Golem, you do have Scapegoat, so you're making a lot of tokens, a lot of level 1 monsters, and you need those Link Karibos, or they could even be Link Spiders, to be honest, to utilize those cards. Now, I do like Link Karibo a lot more than Link Spider right now, because with Grinder Golem before with just Link Spider, it was impossible to make a board load with a single Grinder Golem, because you would summon Grinder Golem, make Akashic, and then summon the Grinder Golem again, so you'd have 2 tokens and Akashic. And with that, you need 4 monsters for board load. They have to be 3 different ones and effect monsters. And so before, you really couldn't do anything with the other 2 tokens. You'd have Akashic 2 tokens. There was no way to have 3 different monsters whose link material equal 4. It was just impossible. But now you can actually do that, because now you can use 1 token for another Link Karibo, and then you can use the other effect of Link Karibo to tribute the token to bring itself back from the graveyard. So then you have 3 different monsters, and they're all effect monsters. So you'd have Akashic and 2 Link Karibos. So it actually works that way. So I guess that's probably the main reason to play Link Karibo over Link Spider. But even then, you only need 1 Link Karibo for that 3rd one to bring back from the graveyard. Next, we have 1 Proxy Dragon, 1 Akashic Magician for messing around with Grinder Golem. I wish there was space to play more of them actually, but there just isn't space, to be honest. Really good card though, especially if you have multiple Grinder Golems. It's really good to use the 2nd effect too. Or if you have Grinder Golem plus Scapegoat, it just gets so juicy. I mean, oh my god. Akashic Magician's great. Next, we have 2 Mrs. Radiance, and this is something that I actually wasn't playing for a long time, but it's come up more often lately where I'll activate a Scapegoat, and I'll be able to clear my opponent's board with maybe a Kaiju, or maybe I'll have a Grinder Golem to deal with their board, or maybe they just weren't able to make a board in the first place. But without Mrs. Radiant, there's actually no way to make a Link forward that, or there's nothing you can do with a Scapegoat without Mrs. Radiant that also equals game. And so, like, without Mrs. Radiant, any combination of Link monsters that you can make with a Scapegoat plus a Candino was not game. Like, it would be almost game, and then I'd have to burn them or something, but a lot of times I just really wanted to put game on board. I didn't want to give my opponent an extra turn to draw, to where like they would draw and maybe have under 1,000 life points, but then they could set their hand, summon a Tough, deal with deal with Lycanroc, and then search. So I didn't want to give my opponent a chance. I wanted to actually be able to kill them off of the Scapegoat on my turn immediately, and Mrs. Radiant is one of the cards that I think you need to do that. And so if you can clear your opponent's board, what you would do is make 2 Mrs. Radiants with the tokens. So both Mrs. Radiants would be at 2,900, and then that's already 58, plus Candina, which is 18, plus Lycanroc, which is 16. You search it off the Candina, of course. And so that means that that is already over 8,000. If you have Light Stage, it's even more. And if you have like a Reincarnation in the grave, you can bring back something and maybe do that type of damage through an opponent's monster. Or if you have a Grinder Golem, what I like to do is to summon Grinder Golem, make a Topologic Bomber Dragon, and then use Bomber Dragon to attack over Grinder Golem, deal 3,000. And then, of course, again, the 2 Mrs. Radiance is going to be another 5,800, which is over game, that's 8,800. And so you really need Mrs. Radiant in a lot of cases to have game. Next, we have one Ib, the World Chalice Priestess, which is also good off of Scapegoat. It's important for the Ib Ningirsu play. And also, sometimes, it's come up before to where my opponent also leaves a Ningirsu on their board, and I just summon my Ningirsu in front of it, and I get to draw 2 cards. So that's happened before, that's pretty awesome. And then the last Link 2 that we play is one Holly Angel. I've seen some players in the Facebook group talk about not playing Holly Angel, but I just think it's so important for your engine. I think like just playing the engine in general, like your first turn, it's like Candina get Lycanroc. Then after that, you can do Candina get Lilybell, then make this, or Holly Angel, then Reincarnation, bring back Lilybell, Lilybell add back Candina. And then from there, you have all the monsters out of your deck, and you've summoned all your monsters. And at that point, you can use Reincarnation to summon any of them again. You can use it to Link Climb. You just need it just to have access to multiple different things. And it also does help you get over big monsters, because sometimes what you can do is use Reincarnation to summon something under its link point, deal damage, raise its attack, burn up something else, raise the attack again. And sometimes it can get up to pretty high attack, like 26, 2800. So it helps you deal with big monsters sometimes, helps you burn your opponent more. It just, you need it. You just need it. And I'm actually appalled and surprised that some players would opt against playing it. Hurts my feelings, because like Holly Angel is actually what made me want to play Trickstars in the first place. Like I used to think they were just some gimmicky shitty burn deck, but then I pulled a Holly Angel and I looked at it and was like, alright, I'll give this deck a shot. I'll try it. And it's been a lot of fun. So I couldn't even imagine playing this deck without Holly Angel. But next, one Decode Talker. I might cut this. It's been pretty good. Sometimes it's like a big link monster that's a link 3 that you can summon relatively easily, but giving your opponent a link point isn't something I'm not too fond of, and protecting from targeting actually isn't that big right now. Like I don't think I've used that effect very much this format. Last link 3 that we play is one World Chalice Ningirsu, Ningirsu the World Chalice Warrior, it's called, yeah. Really good for, again, the Scapegoat play. It's non-targeting, non-destruction removal, so it helps you deal with Sleeper sometimes, helps you deal with other things that you can't target or can't destroy, deals with Beals, just really good in general. For the Link 4s, we play one Firewall, which is one of your main win conditions in this deck, especially with Scapegoat and Grinder Golem. Yeah, that's that Firewall loop you do all the time. One Borreload Dragon, which is really good. You can make it off of Scapegoat, you can make it off of Grinder Golem now with Link Rebo once again. Just very strong, hard for a lot of decks to deal with, and you make it a lot easier than they can now. Especially against Spirals, to where they can only deal with this by making another Borreload. And I was actually thinking about playing Cherries. I mean, not just for Double Helix and other things, of course. Like, Cherries is good, obviously, but also Cherries for Borreload, because it's one of the only outs to Borreload. So I was thinking about maybe doing that just because it is that good. It almost convinces me to do so. And then the final Link 4 that we play is one Topologic Bomber Dragon. Bomber Dragon helps you deal more damage, but it's also one of the only Link monsters that gives you a form of defense, more or less. And so if you look through all the Link monsters, none of them have quick effects really, except for Firewall Dragon, and Firewall is like only once while it's face up and it has to be co-linked, so that's kind of hard to do. But Topologic Bomber Dragon is one of the only ones with a quick or trigger effect. And so what you can do is summon Topologic Bomber Dragon, and then you can use Reincarnation to summon something to its link point on your opponent's turn. And it's not once per turn either, so you can blow their board up multiple times. And so you can also do it like that. You can do it with Lycanroc's effect. And so sometimes I'll like summon a Candina, search Lycanroc, and then just leave Candina on board. And then when I need to blow up their whole field, I'll just summon a Lycanroc, like the one that I searched, of course. If you have Reincarnation, again, you do the same thing. So I just really like that it gives you a form of defense. And also with Grinder Golem, you can attack over Grinder Golem in defense and then deal 3,000 damage. I've done that to cheese out some games in time before. It's just, Topologic Bomber Dragon is really clutch. Like, you don't summon it that much, but when you do, it it solves really a lot of problems. And then the final card in the extra deck is sort of a flex spot, and I chose it to be a Phantom Knight of Breaksword. And so Breaksword comes up sometimes with multiple Icarus, but I think some other good options would be a number 41 Baguska, or actually a Cyber Mega Fleet Dragon, or Cyber Dragon Mega Fleet, whatever it's called. It's a new fusion Cyber Dragon monster, and so I was really considering playing Cyber Dragon to deal with a lot of my opponent's boards, because you could fuse with anything in the extra monster zone to make a Mega Fleet. And so it's sort of like Chimera Tech, but with more attack. But I ultimately chose against it because I felt that I had enough for dealing with established boards already. I already had the Kaijus, and then plus I side more Kaiju, so I chose sort of against that, but I do like it in theory, and it was definitely an option. I just didn't like how it didn't deal with Sleeper. Another good option for this spot would also be an Akashic Magician, because again, the second one can come up when you're playing multiple Grinder Golems. Because like after you use all your Link Karibos and you summon another Grinder Golem, it just kind of sucks when you're just making like a proxy dragon and then like nothing else. But there are a few other pretty good options as well. Again, I do like Breaksword, but I don't think that's something you need to play really. So let's move on to the side deck. First we have two more Kaijus, one Gamma Seal, one 3300 one. I like the 3300 one just because it gives yourself a big monster to summon off of Slumber. So that's really cool. Then of course one Slumber. 3 Magical Springs and 3 Evenly Matches for Pendulum. I just think that deals with that deck so well. I mean, you draw 2 to 3 cards, you draw into your Evenly Match, clear their board, you're also drawing to your Grinder Golem, you draw into your Engine cards, you draw into Pot of Desires. Like, you just draw so much in this deck, and it makes it so much more consistent. And even the discard effect is really cool too, because you can discard your Reincarnations to get their effect, you can discard your Lilybell to get that in the graveyard to bring back with something, or I'm sorry, you can discard other cards to bring back with Lilybell, I meant to say. So it's just really versatile, and it just works very well with this deck actually. Evenly Matched it goes in most cases going second. Again, it's like Auto Win versus Pendulum. It's really good against Paleo. It's good against Spirals. And sometimes what I like to do actually is in mirror matches, even if I don't have Evenly Matched, I'll go into the battle phase just to trick them to use their Reincarnations, which will give me a new hand. Or if I think they might be playing Mind Crush, I'll do the same thing, which makes them discard a card, which again, you usually win on card advantage, and so making your opponent lose a card on the field and from their hand is a huge swing in card advantage. And so in a lot of cases, you're going to blow them out from there. Like, then we have 2 Chaos Hunters for the mirror match. And then the last couple of cards in the side deck are 3 Psyframe Gammas and 1 Driver. I really like it right now. It's very versatile. It's a hand trap that stops hand traps as well as other things. And I think it really covers anything else that I might be missing. Like, it's versatile enough to where if I play some rogue deck, it's good. But alright guys, this has been my Grinder Golem Trickstar deck profile. If you've enjoyed it, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, leave them down below. And as always, I'll see you in the next video.